Welcome to the Adaptive Outdoorsman Podcast. It is brought to you by Action Trackchair, proud sponsor and champion of outdoor accessibility. Action Trackchair is committed to empowering individuals with mobility challenges to explore the great outdoors with freedom and independence. Whether it's hunting in rugged terrain, casting a line by the water, or hitting the trails for the hike, the Action Trackchair is the ultimate all-terrain wheelchair that empowers you to get outside. Custom build your track chair today at actiontrackchair.com. Action Trackchair. Unlock adventure. I would like to introduce our guest, Sam Westfall, CEO and founder of Valor Archery Challenge. Sam is also an Army veteran, serial entrepreneur, and founder of Archery in Motion, a company that produces mobile archery targets. Welcome to the show, man.
What's going on, Sean? How are you?
Well, battling a cold, sneezed one time and ended up biting my tongue, so now it's partially swollen, so that's why everybody hears the lisp from Knoxville here. And been up since 3 a.m. I go with the old mantra from when I was playing World of Warcraft. Oh, you just want to beat your head against the wall and see what happens? Yeah, sure, let's do that. That sounds like fun. Brace the suck.
I have that shirt.
I don't have that shirt. I just embrace it. Who made that shirt? I forget.
Grunt Style or Ranger Up, one of the two.
Yeah. Like I said, I just remember the quote, embrace the suck, because that was what they say in military.
Yeah, very much so.
And football, when I was playing football 20-some years ago.
All right.
Yes. I didn't play it well, but I did enjoy practices as a high schooler. Yep. So, we can get to origin story. But, so, let's start with the military.
Okay. 7 years in the Army, from 94 to 01, served as a tank mechanic, working on the M1 Abrams, which means really I worked on everything from Abrams to Bradleys to Himmets, Hets, Humvees, 2-snaps, 5 tons, 113s. If it had an engine, at some point I was a mechanic for it. Also gave me a little bit of experience in welding because at some point somebody's going to bend some steel or tear something up, and if the welder is not available or not in the unit, mechanics get to figure out how to put it back together.
Yep. I know a buddy of mine, and we were talking about before the podcast about people I know that are in the military. A buddy of mine that I used to work with, he's a mechanic from the Air Force, and he got to work on, I believe it was, and I think this is one of his favorites. It was the, now it's escaping me, the big minigun with a plane attached to it.
A-10 Warthog.
There we go.
Yep.
The A-10 Warthog. He's definitely it was his favorites till they took it away from him. He's like, yeah. Really? I wanted to work on that. That was fun.
Phenomenal piece of machinery.
Oh, yes. I love how you can literally say, it's a big minigun with a plane attached to the end of it.
Everybody knows which one you're talking about.
You can literally say for the Air Force, that one, and then for the F-16, the rocket.
Right.
With the 126 and 0, that's pretty decent.
That's a high rate of success.
Yeah. So you worked on the Abrams. What is the success rate with the Abrams?
They are, as long as you're not in the way of it, they are phenomenal. So that is a 72-ton piece of steel running a 1,500 horsepower turbine engine, about 300 gallons of fuel, and a 120 millimeter main bore cannon with 50 cal and 7.62 backup guns. So nice. Just awesome piece of machinery, can go virtually anywhere, and tankers will try to take it anywhere until they get stuck and then have to call the mechanics to come get them out. But it makes big holes in a lot of pieces of steel.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story. I don't know if it's true or not, so perhaps you can help me with this one. It was an M1 Abrams. The engine failed on it, and they were stuck. Everything else worked on it, but they had to manually crank the turret and everything. But so they were there, and it was in the desert, and a Russian tank came across them, and the guys were inside, just shooting the breeze, waiting for guys to come get them. And they heard a thud on the outside of the tank. Like, what was that?
It's a thud.
Yeah, they're like, what the heck? Did somebody just hit us? One of the guys looked out the window and saw the tank was firing at. They thought, oh, it's a broken down tank. We're just going to play with it.
Yep.
Well, another round hit it, and they're like, okay, you want to play?
That's the last of that.
They rotated that tank, and by the time the barrel got to the end, got to that tank, raised at the right angle, those guys were waving the white flag, and those guys are like, nope, boom.
Pretty much.
It's like, no, we ain't playing that game.
Yeah.
You didn't bother checking, you didn't ask. Now you're asking for permission, forgiveness. No.
Yeah. No. Like I said, they're unforgiving. That 120 main gun will go through just about anything depending on which round they put in it. So whether it's a heat round that goes to 4,000 degrees, whether it's a sable round that it's just designed to punch, yeah, it's just nasty.
Knowing that tank crew, if this was actually true of a story, obviously we have no way of confirming whether it was true or not, and what battle was actually in. Like I said, I just heard from Rumorville. But knowing them and knowing the military, especially tank crews, they chose the most efficient round that was also the most insulting round.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's just a sabo that it doesn't matter what's in the way, it's going to punch through it.
They're like, okay, fine, you want to play target practice? Nothing fancy. Boom.
Yep. Creates a hole about 2.5 inches in diameter, which creates a vacuum inside of the receiving end. So if it's humans inside of it, it creates a vacuum that tries to suck them out that 2-inch hole.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
That's something you didn't learn on a podcast about disabled outdoorsmen. Disability outdoors. This tank will create you and have a bad day.
That's right.
And that's
games when stupid pride.
And that's why I love the Abrams, because holy cow, when they created that thing, it's like, yeah, it's the perfect weight to ratio.
Grand scale, right? I said it's 72 tons, 1,500 horsepower turbine engine. It'll do comfortably about 48 miles an hour and still maintain complete rock solid steadiness on that gun tube. It's absolutely a phenomenal piece of machine, but it is deadly.
Yeah. And that's just the specs that you're allowed to say, not the ones that they tell you not to tell people.
Right.
I know you know more than that, and I'm not going to push. I'm not pushing because they've got video evidence of this thing taking hits and giving them right back and not flinching when they do it. I guarantee you, every single country doesn't have anything that can rival us in that one.
There's a couple that are close, but not close enough.
Yeah, like this thing was created in the late 80s?
Mid 80s, yeah.
Yeah, so around when I was born.
A1 came out, and so that was just straight M1, 105 main gun tube, and then they've upgraded a couple times since then.
Yeah, I know. It was the last administration was saying, we're going to go electric with the Abrams. I'm thinking to myself, you don't have the horsepower for that.
You don't have the battery for it.
The only way I could think of them doing something like that is, you ever seen those diesel generators that they would attach to an electric motor for a vehicle? So you're still using fuel, but it's powering everything versus but would that even be able to?
No.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, I said it's about a 300-gallon fuel cell, 13 gallons just to spin up the engine.
Yeah, that would drain any battery.
Yep. So there are 6 12-volt batteries on the M1A2s that I was working on at the time, 24 years ago.
Right.
So 6 12-volt, car batteries in sequence in that just to spin it up.
Yeah. And they want to put in a lithium-ion battery, which is flammable as ever. I mean,
right. Slightly explosive.
Yeah, in a tank, which we've already learned really, really well with the Russian tanks. You don't put anything like that near the crew. ever.
So the crew is exceptionally secured in their own little space. So everything's separated by heavy steel between engine hull to crew space, or even where ammo storage is done inside of the turret, has a let's call it a half-inch steel plate that slides back and forth to keep everybody safe in the event that something does hit it.
Yeah. Now, I know they're talking about upgrading that to have an auto loader. What are your thoughts on that?
It has a purpose. It has a reason. A good tank crew can reload exceptionally fast. A good reloader on the crew. So right now it's 4 people in the crew. So it's driver, TC, tank commander, gunner, and loader. And
Mm-hmm.
a good solid loader, they're pumping 3 to 5 rounds a minute into that thing without a problem. And that's as long as the tank commander has already lined up the next 4 or 5 shots, while the gunner is already moving, swinging turret, adjusting elevation on the gun tube to hit those next 5 shots. So the autoloader, I mean, it serves a purpose. It saves one troop from being in the box, but good crew can manage.
Yeah. I heard another story about the Abrams. It was somebody close to me though. I forget which one, but it was they were at the range with the tank, firing sabot rounds, firing all the rounds, and they're like, okay, we got to expend all the rounds. So I think he got the permission to quite literally keep his foot on the open bay lock for where the ammo storage was, and this guy was literally just boom,
Dumping
boom,
rounds. Yep.
dumping rounds, and he said that was the most fun I had all day.
So there was a couple different gunneries that I went to where they had extra rounds. They needed to expend it before we left the range. So they said, okay, mechanics, do you guys want to come play?
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So,
please.
yep. So I've got to take command on an Abrams for a gunnery round, and then I got to be the gunner on the gunnery round as well. So I've got to pull the trigger on that thing a couple times, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Hearing that thing and feeling the whole shake, like.
Full round training rounds are one thing. Training rounds will pick up first road wheel. So if you think about how the track is designed, that first road wheel all the way at the front of the tank, the training round will pick that road wheel up off the ground as it shoots. Full assault round used in combat, those will take the front 2 road wheels up off the ground.
You're doing a wheelie firing a freaking hammer.
Yeah.
Now, I know. Have they shown videos of what happens when a tank round goes through a ballistics dummy?
No, but I've seen the after effects, and let's not go there.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I remember it was a Brandon Herrera actually did a video where he took a howitzer, put it on its side, and they were just checking to see dummy wise, and holy cow, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yep. You want to be nowhere around it.
Yep, no, there's a reason why they are designated for armor.
That's right.
And big buildings.
I mean, Geneva Convention says you can use a 50 cal not on personnel, but you can use 50 cal on equipment. Canteen
and belt
consists
buckles.
of equipment.
And belt buckles.
That's right.
We are in no way endorsing that sort of thing, but that's what they call it.
That's right.
So, you get out of the military, and what was next on the list?
So I got out of the Army, got divorced at the same time, went into some severe depression, some anxiety, PTSD, severe amounts of stress. Transitioned because there's not really a good job market in 2001 before 9/11 for a tank mechanic. So I ended up transitioning into IT, which was a little bit of a career change, but in a good way. That spent the next 20 plus years, 22 years for different companies, different IT positions, whether it was starting as a help desk or working my way up to a senior manager in a local credit union. But in that whole time, I was really using, for a while, I was using alcohol and firearms as a coping mechanism, probably not the best case. A buddy of mine turned me on to archery because he realized that I had some issues after I got done at the gun range. And so he said, hey, just try the bow. I said, what's the difference? He said, just shut up and try it. Sure enough, as soon as I grabbed a bow, put an arrow down range, I went, ooh, that's different. It's calm, it's quiet, it's focused. And so roughly 15 years ago. So I've been using archery as my therapy for about the last 15 years. Um, then about 3 years ago is when I stopped working for corporate IT and started up as an entrepreneur or a vetrepreneur, however you want to word it. And now had a couple different veteran-owned small businesses and work as a IVMF ambassador as well. So trying to get other veterans into the entrepreneurial space. So it's been an interesting ride.
Nice. I want to get into archery, but currently my wife had our daughter back in April, so getting that new bow is kind of out of the question right now. So
You're out
crossing
of
will
it
be
for a little
mine.
bit, bud.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm hoping for this podcast to get more people involved.
Yeah.
You
Find
know.
the right folks. It'll take off.
Oh, well, growing slow but steady over time.
That's right.
Slow growth is growth. Always
It's
taking it.
sustainable growth.
And no matter how much I'm beating myself up every day, like,
I understand that. The entrepreneur side of me understands that completely.
yeah, you're like, no one cares, no one cares, no one cares, no one cares. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Then you're like, crap.
Consistency is key. That's whether it's civilian entrepreneurship, veteran entrepreneurship, that consistency is key. Getting out there every day and doing it over and over again.
Yep. So how many people have you gotten into veteran entrepreneurship?
Over the last 2.5 years, probably half dozen, maybe closer to 10. Folks that were thinking about it, they had an idea, they had a thought. All right, well, let's put you through one of the programs, whether it was an IVMF program or whether it was a different veteran related program. So put them through a program or two, let them see if it was the right fit and feel. A couple of them are, a year and a half, maybe 2 years into their entrepreneurial journey and rolling with it as best they can.
Yeah. I take a quote from a blacksmith, Jason Knight, the guy from Forge and Fire. And I was following him for a little bit with his YouTube channel. I don't know if it's still active or not, but he was talking about treat the thing that you want to do like a hobby first. Like a couple of years, treat it like a hobby. Then when you get good at it, you can produce something quality and you can keep producing it on time effectively. Obviously hiccups happen here or there. Then turn it into a business because you know how to handle what's coming, you know the technical faults of it, you know what the bad parts of it, basically.
Yep. And I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I also had a mentor tell me early on that said, if your business goal doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. So keep going.
Oh, this thing scares the crap out of me. I'll admit that wholeheartedly. Like, I'm afraid to fail every time.
Nah, you already got time in it. You're still moving. You still got laundry list of clients and interviewees coming in. You're good to go, man.
Oh, it was a couple of weeks back. I had, because, you'll have cancellations every so often, and then you also have, in podcasting, you can have cancellations, reschedules, and then no shows and no answers. So I think I can put out 75 tentacles here and there and then get maybe 25% back, and probably 12 of that's coming on to the podcast. And one time I had a cancellation or a reschedule where I literally am like, crap, time to do a solo episode in which anything that could go wrong would go wrong. The mic literally hooked up, instead of a headset, hooked up to the camera. So I got my computer right next to that. So instead of hearing just me, you're hearing the hum of my computer tower. And it was a rambling mess. Like, we're going down rabbit holes, but we can still focus in on it. I'm just like trying to keep myself on it. Luckily, I had a list, but
As you know where you're going, that's a good starting point.
Yeah. Definitely, if I do that again, I'm getting a bit of a script better off.
That's probably a good call.
But when with the people that have had success with their small businesses, what's the attrition rate on them?
thankfully, in the veteran entrepreneur space, the success rate is higher than it is in the civilian world. Veterans come with a level of grit and determination that they learned from their time in the military.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned earlier, embrace the suck. So
Mm-hmm.
we understand how to overcome some of that and just keep pushing forward regardless of where that is. So the attrition rate has been fairly low. Now, once it does start to go down that path of, I can't do this or it's not working or whatever the case may be, the other side of that is that the veteran entrepreneurs are very tight-knit communities, so they can reach back out to some of their cohort members of a program that they went through and say, hey, I'm having a bad day, where do I go? Help talk me off the ledge. And that community will really stick and drive together to figure out how to pull it the right way.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be calling on you a little bit for every so often now.
That's fine.
Yeah. I that embrace the suck is people with disabilities all the time.
Yep.
So I was born with bilateral club feet, and the only way to cure that was with surgery.
Okay.
Never mind the amount of pain I'm now in.
Right.
And when I was a teenager, I was a lot younger and a lot lighter, but I didn't realize that I had stress fractures on my shins and everything because of the way my feet were made and everything. And my dumb butt still was trying to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah, they're not going to take you.
I was 19 years old. I had a pretty high pre-ASVAB, just to test to see how well I was before I would take an actual one. I got them to accept a heart murmur,
That's impossible in its own right.
but the club feet was the thing that they said, nope, you can't duck walk.
Yep.
And I'm going to say thank God they didn't, because it turns out I have scar tissue on my Achilles tendons, so getting up and moving around for long periods of time, okay, I'm in pain a little bit. Getting back down, I could literally, before the surgeries, I had 2 triple arthrodesis fusions, which they still obviously ain't taking full pain away. But basically, I could feel my Achilles tendon retightening back up in my feet, going into a certain area. I'm like, yeah, then you have to re-stretch out when you stand back up.
Yeah, that's no way.
Yep. And so I had the surgeries, and that was about 21 and 25 or so. So who knows? I would have done something. I mean, what's a high score for an ASVAB?
I have no idea. They
It's been a while.
changed it from when I went in. When I went in, they separated the scores of mechanical, mathematics, and kind of literacy and understanding. And
Yeah.
now it's just an overall test score. If you're in X number, you're a grunt. If you're in X number, you're whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I think I was trying to get in about 2004, 2005-ish, so.
Yeah. I want
Like
to
I
say
said,
it was around 2000 is when they changed everything.
yeah. Basically, you score above, let's say 80, you're getting into not being a grunt. You get below 80, you're having a bad day. And if you're below 30, you're not coming with us.
Yeah.
I know that one. It was, yeah, if you're below a certain standard, they will not accept you at all. So, oh, I forgot to mention, my brother-in-law was also in the military. He manned, I think it was the 50 cal on top of the Humvee.
That's a fun ride.
He ended up getting injured because one of the Humvee's steps on the ground, stepping off of the Humvee, was broke, and he ended up tearing an ACL.
Yep.
Well, he got medically discharged. At least he got that.
Yeah, that doesn't even come close to making up for it, but yes.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, thank you for that.
Yeah. It's for those that are veterans that are, looking at getting out or already out and they're still fighting the VA. There's one gentleman that I heard a video cat or podcast with, and he said, when you go to a rental car place and you rent a car, regardless of what damage happens to that car while you're in possession of it, and you turn it back in, the rental car company is still going to charge you for all the damages. That's where the VA needs to start looking at those veterans in the same method that
Mm-hmm.
you signed off that I was a healthy individual before I went into the military. I served whatever period of time it was, and I am no longer good to go anymore.
Yeah.
You're covering the cost of the rental car from this point forward.
Oh, I know they did this. They did that sort of thing for one guy I know. It was Patrick Scroggin. I've had him on, and yeah, he was flying a helicopter, or night ops helicopter during during Karuk, Iraq. There, I finally got it out. And he was in a he was in a crash where he lost one of his legs. So now, and he has no problem admitting this either. Just check the episode. He says, "Now I bill them for 3 fully bionic, prosthetics for every time he goes up a mountain for a hunt." And those are not cheap.
If it helps him get up the mountain for whatever hunt he's going after, good for him.
Yeah, and that's every time. He's like, yep. So my house payment for the grand total of my house every time he goes hunting.
Right.
Well, but you're home.
That's right. It's earned.
Yeah. I think I was hearing the Unsubscribed podcast. They just had on a guy who was former military as well. He got, suicide or dude doing a stupid thing, turned himself into a insect claymore. And he was talking about how as soon as he got injured and they had him off the field, in a medevac and whatnot, they had apparently scanned his badge and took him off active duty. And don't quote me on that, but it's like, oh, thank you. I'm not no longer getting paid for that. Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
Says you're there, so regardless.
Yeah, right. So I know we're going to get into Valerie Archery Challenge sooner rather than later, but I'm going through your next company.
You're all right. Come on.
So the next company, Archery in Motion. What came up with that idea?
So over the years, I've shot a number of different archery events across the country. Predominantly 3D, because that's kind of where my headspace is. And I've had a lot of fun. My buddy and I were at Total Archery Challenge a number of years ago, and we both said it was a great event. We had a lot of fun. It was good times, good targets, good setups. But as we're at the bar that evening having a drink, he said, "You know what's missing?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Moving targets." And as soon as he said it, I reached over and grabbed a bar napkin and asked the waitress for a pen, and I started drawing. He goes, "Oh crap, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm designing it right now." And so that was the first iteration of the inline moving target, linear moving target. So solar powered, 100-yard wireless control, on a little cart that just runs 10 feet back and forth, and designed enough to where you can go, 30 degrees on an incline and 15 degrees on an off camber and still run and function without a problem. Can support any target from a rabbit or a squirrel target all the way up to a full-size buffalo. Yeah, your eyes just lit up. So this thing is designed by a former tank mechanic and somebody who spent 20 years in IT and has shot competitively for decades. So that's really what this thing is designed to do, is all out, let's make a moving target. And that one got fun and took it across the country in 2024, 16 major archery events, had about, between podcasts, radio shows, and actual events, probably had close to 300,000 eyes on it. So that was kind of entertaining. Didn't make me a millionaire yet, but we'll get there. But in that process, somebody said, it's only 10 feet and it runs at 2 miles an hour. It's kind of slow. So, okay, broke out the bar napkin yet again and designed a monster. And the monster is a 74-foot track that gives you quartering away, quartering to, broadside, frontal, and 13-foot distance change, all in the same shot scenario in that oval track. Wireless controlled again, but now it's a self-propelled cart running on a 36-volt battery and dual 16-inch rotatory tires. that are pulling it around. And now it's a whole different ballgame because I can crank this as low as 2.5 miles an hour and all the way up to 4 miles an hour if you really want to scream at a pronghorn target that's running around.
Now I can just think of this, especially when you're saying it's quartering to, quartering away. All I can think of is you can actually set this up so in a program where it could mimic an actual natural animal, just going around in circles. You could put debris around the way. So, you know, this could be actually a good training tool for people like, okay, I've got a set window
Yep.
to shoot it. If it stops in
And
this,
I've got a couple different videos where we took it up into the woods. We set it up with a clump of trees inside of that oval. And so as it's coming around, your buddy's over there running the control. And I say buddy, he's over there running the controls and stops it behind the trees and starts it for a second, stops it again, starts it for a second. And so you're at full draw waiting for it to come out into the open and take that shot. Yeah, it really is a phenomenal training tool. It's kind of a novelty setup because of what it is, but it really is a great training tool for those that want to get deep into backcountry bow hunting.
yeah. I can also see this, instead of it being an oval track, set up your own track sort of scenario, and they'd be like all over the place.
Yep. So
Oh,
right now it's the oval track is the easiest variants of components in the track to set up, just because it's a handful of 90-degree corners and then a couple straight sections. But yeah, it's all pinned together. So you just unpin it, change it out to whatever variants you want, pin it back together, and then that's where it's at.
great. You created the adult version of the train track from when we were kids.
Yeah, the old Hot Wheels cars. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Did you ever think childhood inspiration would have made you create that?
Not like that, no. Like I said, that wasn't even a initial thought for archery in motion. That was just after somebody said, it's kind of slow and it needs to be longer, needs to have more distance to it. All right, well, let's figure out how to do that. The monster took about 18 months worth of design and reconfigurations in order to make it comfortable and functional. Went through a couple different iterations, a lot of design, and okay, that didn't work. All right, re-weld it, cut it, re-weld it. Nope, cut it, re-weld it. Nope, let's try that. Oh, that hit something. Nope, that didn't work. So yeah, it was a design innovation.
Yeah. And do you actually have that for sale, basically, for people to purchase as well, and
I
like
do.
kit?
Little spendy right now. It's 15 grand, but that's fully powder coated, fully ready to rock. Comes out of the box. All you gotta do is plug the battery in and put the antenna on it.
Nice. Would you ever think about, instead of, okay, buddy, hit the button, an actual like programmable thing you could either download into it or like create an app for it? So basically, treat it like a master built where, okay, set here, boom, this setting, have a nice day.
So you brought up a couple of things there, and there's already similar instances to what you were talking about. There's two of my competitor companies. One is it's actually a CU Boulder invention that's kind of designed to do that programmable setup of, hey, you can do a figure eight with it, you can do a triangle with it, or a octagon, or whatever you want to do with it, because it's already pre-programmed in there. What it doesn't do, or what it does different than mine, is that it can only work on concrete surfaces, and it can only work, or as it sits there, it adds 18 inches of unit underneath the actual target, whereas my base unit is only 8 inches off the ground, keeping that life-size mule deer, that elk target, or whatever the case may be, to a realistic height from the ground level. The programmable side adds a lot more GPS complexity, and what I found with how I've got the front end pulling on that against the track, that allows it to really kind of coast and go over. As long as the track is somewhat level, it'll allow the cart to roll without a problem. Again, the competitors have to be on flat concrete ground because they can't go outdoor at all. They can't do any kind of variance or variation in the ground level. So it offers a different scenario.
Nice. All I'm thinking now, especially with the, you said
Actually,
it.
while you're finishing that thought, so you asked about an app. while I like the idea of an app, not everywhere that you're going to take either of these moving targets has a place that has decent signal. Some of the spots in the mountains where I'm up, even setting it up to shoot promotional video or content, I don't have a signal. So the app would stop working at that point, and I don't want to have anybody run into that. I would rather give you a single 2-inch remote control that, as a single shooter or single operator, you can just mount to your bino harness. And as you draw back, you hit that button and it starts moving, and then you're off to the races.
Nice. Yeah, and all I'm thinking of now, especially with your moving target, is you said it can take a squirrel. What's that like on that track with a squirrel that's moving?
So the August event just a couple weeks ago down in Colorado Outdoorsman Days, we put a platypus target on it on the linear mover. So 6-inch tall platypus, let's call it 18-inch long, doing 2 miles an hour, just kind of floating across 6 inches above the ground. A lot of people 32 yards out, 31 yards out, something like that. A lot of folks hit metal because they think it's foam for whatever reason. So they, broke a lot of arrows in that process. Those that hit foam really kind of went, okay, that's a totally different shot scenario because it's a platypus target nobody's ever shot at, or very few have shot at. And then it just creates a unique, challenging scenario for those that have never done it.
Now you got to find the exact shot placement and aim ahead of it. I know we were talking about prior to the podcast about how a couple of people I know, they tried it, their hands at it, and they had a really fun time.
They did. When you're looking at the monster moving target, we had a full-size mule deer on it at that Outdoorsman Days event. So, getting ready to hunt in season, mule deer, Colorado, makes sense. So threw that out there 3 miles an hour. The close end of it was about 42 yards out. The far end was about 50, 51, 52. So not only are you getting that distance change, but again, those different shot angles of quartering to, quartering away. There was a few folks that either didn't lead it enough and ended up shooting it in the butt, or misjudged the distance at whatever point on the track that it was at and shot over its back and let the arrow, continue going past it. So it's a, like I said, it's a fun little novelty. It's a great training tool, but it's a humbling experience for most.
Now, we also talked about this. Have you marketed to Cam Hanes?
We haven't. Cam Hanes was at the Outdoorsman Days event last year, and I tried to get him to come out and sling a few arrows at it just to get his feedback on it. Never had a chance to make it out there and shoot at it. Instead, I ended up getting Derek Wolf and Jermaine Hodge and a couple others that came out to play with it, and got their feedback, and they all had a ball with it.
Yeah. I now I want to shoot at it too, but I'm all the way in Indiana, so that'll be a fun one.
You're just going to have to come out.
I will eventually.
There you go.
So, what made you start up archery, a Valor Archery Challenge?
All right, so that's the question of the day.
Yeah,
so
right?
After taking archery in motion across the country to all those different events, trying to market it and sell it to different archery ranges or archery competitions, or things like TAC and Western Hunt Fest or Mountain Archery Fest or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, didn't make me a millionaire. Got a couple out the door. Those folks are still using it, actively using it, and having fun with it. But what I found is that things like ASA, IVO, RMAA, CSA, those different groups that kind of monitor and control how archery events happen, want no part of moving targets. With that, like I said earlier, I've used archery as my therapy for 15 years, and realizing that I wanted to spin up my own event just focused on archery as therapy, bringing archery in motion, moving targets into my own space, into the Valor Archery Challenge space, because now I can do things how I want. And that moving target becomes part of the challenge, part of the scenario. It made sense to go that route, because now I can offer things to the experienced bow hunters. I can build them a course in a challenging shot scenario that they're going to enjoy. For those that have never shot before, don't even have a bow, fine, we offer rental gear and coaching. We'll get them slinging arrows in 10 minutes or less, and they can go out and walk through the course. They might not hit accurately, but at least they're slinging arrows and hitting foam. And that's kind of the bigger piece of it. Just rather than only providing an event or an archery fun course that's for bow hunters, this is something different.
Yeah. Now I went to Mountain Archery Fest, and this was when it was one of the last few, but it was in on the border between Missouri and Illinois.
Okay.
And I didn't have a bow at that time, but they let you play with a few bows, test bows, but I didn't. Doing like the course or something like that. You're saying rental, you can rent the bow, you can shoot the stuff. I'm like, now, do you guys think about coming out out east with that eventually?
We're there. Yeah, it's definitely on the thought process. So right now I'm trying to focus in Colorado because I've already got access to the Fort Carson military base to host most of the events, and I'm already working with a couple of the BLM and state land managers in order to help, utilize mountain space. Um, the rental gear is, it's traditional bows, recurves with a bunch of rental arrows and arm guards and quivers. Just again, if you've never shot before, you've never considered it before, here's an opportunity to come out and not pay a bunch of money, but you're going to come out, you're going to have fun, you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to walk away going, maybe I do look at archery. When you shot the Mountain Archery Fest courses and saw the ability of the manufacturers themselves that offered the ability to shoot a test bow, I've already got 25 rental bows for kids, 25 rental bows for adults. That way it doesn't matter if you've never picked up a bow before, you're going to be able to sling an arrow.
Nice. Now, where do you see it going within the future?
So again, focused in Colorado because I've already got access to the military base here and working with the land managers. I've had a couple people over the last year talk to me about, well, Sam, what would it take to bring it up to South Dakota, Montana, or even out to South Carolina? Because they want to experience this themselves, as opposed to some of the other competition spaces that are really just focused towards those extreme shooters or extreme bow hunters. And it's there. I've just got to put some more pieces together and probably a few more targets in the inventory, and then figure out how to connect up with those, whether it's a military base or whether it's a state land trust out in those spaces in order to take it elsewhere.
How long does it usually take to set up?
For the Fort Carson events, I'm usually up in about 2 days, run the course for 6 to 8 hours, and then probably 3 hours to tear it all down.
Dang. That's
a 40 target course.
Yeah. Now, do you do it by yourself, or do you have people helping out?
I've got a couple of volunteers that jump in and help me set it up and tear it down.
Nice.
We've got it pretty wrapped up as far as how to do it.
Yeah, remember when I went out that one, I got out early there because my wife wanted to go camping, and it was a business family trip, which they were not too thrilled about.
Right.
But I was helping set up a little bit there, and yeah, it took about a day or so.
And it doesn't have to be hard, and you don't have to carry stuff halfway up the mountain if you don't want to. The Fort Carson space is relatively flat, but I do have a creek bed that I can work in, and so I've got trees along the creek bed, and then kind of up into the rocky lower mountain hill that I can work my way up. So it's about a 1.5 mile loop down there. I change the course every time. I change the target scenario every time, but every event's going to be a little bit different. You're going to walk out and go, okay, Sam, what have you done to me this time?
Yeah. Do you guys have to do with mosquitoes a whole lot over there?
Not as bad. A few months of the year, but otherwise they're pretty easy.
Yeah, I don't want to get into what May looks like in that area. Holy cow!
Like I said,
they were
there's a
eating
few
us
months
alive.
where they want to carry you off, but otherwise they're good.
I'm not dissing anything about the area, but holy cow, they had buffalo gnats, which literally looked like small grains of sand that you could flick and hit somebody with, and then we were next to a creek, so water.
Yep. That gives
So,
you all the bugs.
Oh yeah, mosquitoes out the wazoo.
Yep.
And my thermocell was broken.
Oh no.
So it's like, yay!
Got to be a rough event.
Oh yeah, no permethrin. I didn't bring permethrin, so it's like, oh, we found a couple of those things crawling on us.
Yep. Yeah.
These are bring back trauma here. Bring back trauma.
Sorry, man.
No, you're fine. We've already went through some traumatic stuff with you with the tanks.
Yeah,
So, do you go hunting yourself?
I do. About 36 years now. This will be year number 37. Predominantly been a bow hunter for about the last 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up a rifle a few years ago for a veteran hunting opportunity that was rifle only, but that was fine. But yeah, the last 12 years or so, maybe 13, was predominantly bow. Do chase birds occasionally, but turkey and grouse are all with a bow. And then this year I'm going to try a goose hunt with a bow just to see if it's possible.
I guarantee it's possible, but
Yeah.
getting it every so often, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple small ponds and a couple of little creek beds up in the woods that the birds like to land in, and apparently they'll settle into for an hour or better. So if you just settle in and let them get comfortable and take the shot, and hard part's going to be go get them.
Yeah. Well, the good news is if you go from an elevated position or whatnot, or, slightly elevated, you can get a good shot right at them. It'll peg them right to the ground.
That's right. That's the end goal. It's just pin them, be done.
The problem is the broadhead is no longer going to be viable if it hits rock.
You know, I run annihilators and have for the last few years, and I've hit a few rocks after full pass throughs. Everything's still usable, everything's still resharpenable. Might have busted a little bit off the tip, but put it back on a sharpening stone for a couple hours, and you're good to go again.
What's an annihilator?
Annihilator broadheads. If you're not familiar with it, it's a 3-blade fixed blade. You just put it on a flat grinding stone or sharpening stone to sharpen them up. They run 100, 125. They run a 7/8 cutting diameter. A XL is a 1 3/16 cutting diameter. Phenomenal broadheads. I've used them, like I said, for the last 4 years at least.
Dang. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. So,
Yeah, they're absolutely great.
geez, hell.
I've
I
gone
think
through.
I'm looking at the katana.
Yep, that's the newest model. I'm not old on that one just yet, but I see where they're benefit to some of their design. For that
Ow.
one, the sharpening for me would be a challenge. Whereas the initial annihilators, they originally started to sell it as you could punch through a hood of a car and it's still shootable, and that's a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
I put it through a grouse and hit a rock and picked the grouse up, picked the arrow up, looked at the blade and the broadhead and said, okay, yeah, I've got a sharpening stone in my pack. Let's spend 5 minutes on a sharpening stone. The next day I put it through an elk.
Nice. I think it was 2 years ago when I got the buck behind me. I had shot a doe, and it literally was at category angle, but she took off, and it was still in her. The next week, I took the buck, same broadhead, no sharpening.
Yeah.
I use exact archery broadheads in these things.
I like to sharpen them in between just to make sure that there's a good cutting edge across it. Try to polish them as best I can. So whether it hits rib cage or whether it hits shoulder bone, it's just going to bust through it and keep going.
Oh, this one, I shot through her shoulder plate and took out her lung, and yeah, like I said, it went on to kill that guy. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm not knocking a broadhead, and it was $20 at the time. I think he went up a little bit in price, but it's like, yeah, that's something to get to.
Right. And when you find something that you know and you trust and you know that flies well, stick with it.
Yep. So you planning on what big game are you planning on going after this year?
So this year I will be chasing elk and bear. Um, I got either sex tags for either one. I've got them in the same unit. I did have a draw tag in Colorado for both of those. Unfortunately, the area that I was going to go hunt has spent 2 weeks on fire, and so I had to turn those tags in and go for over-the-counter unit. But I've hunted Colorado most of my life, so jumping into an over-the-counter unit won't be that bad. It might spend a day or two figuring out what the new patterns look like, and then put some on the ground and fill the freezer.
So you have a pretty good idea that you're going to be filling the freezer regardless with bear and elk.
I have a fairly high success rate. I go about every 2 years putting an elk on the ground, and I usually do a mule deer every year.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just doing whitetail so far, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you got out there.
Yeah, right.
Makes sense.
Actually, I got a bison farm 5 minutes from my house.
All right.
I wish they offered for like just a bison hunt, but I wish
There's a couple
Indiana.
here in Colorado that offer a bison hunt.
Yeah. One thing I really wish Indiana would do would be like a 1 week. You pay a little extra when you're getting your tags to get into a drawing for a 1 week velvet hunt.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because Indiana doesn't offer velvet hunts.
Okay.
But putting yourself in a draw, the DNR's getting extra money from people for it, and oh, you didn't get anything. Well, that's tag still good for during regular season.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I can go out and I can actually attempt to get a velvet buck. And if I do, okay, good. If I don't, hey,
Have you started the conversation with the Parks and Wildlife?
I think I've talked to them a little bit about it, but I don't know if they've thought about it or anything. I think I probably might want to.
I mean, get repetitive about it. Have the conversation. Even fill out or create a petition and take it around the state and have people sign it. And if you get enough petition signatures, they're going to figure out how to honor it.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely increased revenue. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, you have a 10% chance of getting this. You'll
Right.
definitely drive all those guys who are like, nope, not going to try. Then you'll have those guys who are like, yeah,
Absolutely
I'll try.
going to throw in.
I mean, 10% and it's only a couple extra dollars here and there.
Right.
What's $10?
And hunters will spend a lot of money on tags.
Yes. What is it? An elk tag, a non-resident elk tag is upwards of like $400.
For Indiana?
No, an elk tag.
And not in
Like where
Colorado.
you
I
live.
think they're almost $700 this year.
Never mind. Yeah.
Utah, I think, is close to $1,300.
Yeah. I was talking. This is before the podcast started getting formed. I was on some of those forums about hunting or whatnot, and I was talking to an outfitter in Alaska about moose hunting, and he said, "Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
7,000. I can get you on it. It's a $7,000, and if you bag it, then it's another 7,000."
Right.
Like, wait. That's not included?
Nope.
Jeez. Yeah, it's like,
And
yeah, if
I've been looking at that solo moose hunting in Alaska for probably close to 20 years. And the last time I looked was last year. It was up, just north of $27,000 for me to go up and do a solo moose hunt.
Jesus. Yeah, and that's guided, right?
So that's with a guide service that takes you into the backcountry, drops you off, and they've already got a camp set up for you.
Oof. Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
Like
it's
when I was looking at, that. That was pre-COVID, so
But I
knowing
mean,
my life.
there's a what's the website? Bookyourhunt.com gives you an opportunity to go see what all those prices are now. So you can jump in. Okay, what's a Canada hunt? What's a Alaskan hunt look like? Or even Spain and New Zealand if you wanted to punch into there. But it's a decent website to go in and figure out what those pricings look like, so you can figure out how to. Do I start saving or do I just go? Yeah, it's a wish list item.
Well, right now I'm gonna go with everything's a wish list item.
Yeah, with a brand new little one. Yeah, everything's a wish
Oh,
list.
she's a beautiful. She is gonna be 5 months old in, let's see, literally 2 weeks from now. As the time of this recording, in 2 weeks she will be 5 months old. So October 1st, October 9th hits, she's gonna be a 6-month-old. Watching Daddy hopefully harvest some whitetail.
There you go.
Plan on getting a buck because my wife wants the skull, and I want the a euro mount this time around. I don't have one, and I got a couple of. And there's a company based out of Wabash, which is about, I want to say 20-some minutes away from me. That it's called Rack Hub, where you can literally take them apart, put an insert into the rack itself. They can attach to either this mount that goes on your wall, so you can just show the antlers, or you can attach it to the skull or your mount like the one behind me,
Yep.
and then you can take the antlers off without taking the whole thing off the wall.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Oh, I want to look at a single antler?
Right.
Okay. Instead
Very
of,
cool.
oh, hey, I've got to take that entire bulky object off my wall. Don't get
Right.
me wrong, shoulder mounts are awesome, but they're pricey as heck.
Uh, and that one's not nearly as expensive as what it could be.
Oh, this is from the same taxidermist that I got my 9-pointer out in the living room with. The 9-pointer out in the living room was, I think it was $450.
That's not bad.
Yeah, in the 2 years it took me to get him, the price went all the way up to almost $800.
Yeah, that's getting closer to what I'm seeing out here. Some of the full shoulder mount, full elk, you're talking $2,000, 2,200, somewhere in there.
Oh, my wife would be like, "No, you are not." It's like, so if I'm gonna get a bull elk and get it mounted, first I got to figure out where I'm putting him because low hanging ceilings.
Yeah.
And two, I would probably be hopefully having a lot of savings for something like that.
There you go.
Because I know a couple of guys that would hopefully guide me to success. Uh, that would probably be a whole troop endeavor because I know a couple of guys out west that are like, "Hey, I'm going. I need help?" And I'm like,
Right.
"I can help you."
Yep.
So you went through a couple of veteran nonprofits for hunts. Would you think about going through other ones?
Well, absolutely. In Colorado alone, there's probably 10 to 12 agencies that take veterans out for hunting or fishing adventures. I've been out with 3 of them, had a great time with all of them. Wasn't successful with all of them, but that's part of hunting. So I've got a few more to connect up with and figure out, what's that look like. And then at the Valor Archery Challenge events, I actually offer all of those groups a booth at the event for free to help them grow their audience and help the military and veterans that want to hunt or want to get into hunting. That's an opportunity for them to connect without having to go do a deep dive Google on what are all the companies that can help me do this. And that's just in Colorado. It's, you look at Texas or anywhere else, there's probably another 20 down there.
Yeah. My plan is, and I got to go through all my episodes to figure this out properly because I want to I have a 50 state initiative. And it was started in year 1 when I was, interviewing some nonprofits. I'm like, okay, this could be a good avenue. Let's find all a nonprofit for either veterans nonprofit or disabled nonprofit or the works. Figure
Right.
out at least one nonprofit per state.
Oh yeah, there's plenty out there.
I got to figure out which states I'm missing right now so I can focus fire on them. Finding Alaska and Hawaii is going to be fun. Yeah, right. Like I said, those are the challenges.
Right.
Yeah. We got to go through and figure out which ones I'm missing because I know I've covered a couple of states multiple times.
Right.
You ain't joking. I think I've done Pennsylvania. I've done Carolinas a couple times. A lot of out west states, Idaho.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, there's no shortage of them. It's just a factor of finding
finding
all
them.
of them and connecting. But
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I've reached out to all the ones in Colorado and said, hey, look, you have a booth at my events for free. All you got to do is show up.
Nice.
Because that way the military and veterans don't have to go finding you, and it gives you an opportunity to open that door easier, and you don't have to go find them.
Nice.
Captive audience, as it were.
All right. Well, thank you, man, for coming on. It's been fun. Do you want to tell the people how to reach you via social media?
Sure. So for Archery in Motion, it is archery, the letter N, motion, and that covers all social media channels. It's also archeryinmotion.com for the website, and that'll show you the different videos of what stuff is. For Valor, it is valorarcherychallenge.com and Valor Archery Challenge for all the social media. Trying to keep it easy and simple.
Nice. Well, thank you, Sam, for coming on and talking about your archery challenges, your targets, Abrams tanks. That's fun deep dive for me. I love big things that go boom.
That's right. Mr.
And
Sean, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And remember, everybody, stay adaptive.
Absolutely.